When you talk about quality of life, you present it as something that is an absolute. It is something that can change over time, perhaps by adjusting expectations, perhaps by forcing people to adjust how much we need to be happy. But that requires a political culture that is able to persuade people that this is a trade-off that we must be prepared to settle for. Some would argue that the direction we are taking, the path we are taking, could be politically expedient. I would like your comment on that, please.
I think political expediency, if that had been the reason for our policies would have looked very different. It's always been focused on a simple calculus, which is people want the best for themselves. They have a certain energy, they have a certain ability. Everyone must be given the opportunity to go as far as they want and do what they want. If they want to be the best doctor, we must provide the framework to be the best doctor. If they want to be the best artist, we want to provide the framework. If they are happy with something else, quite satisfied, the framework must allow that. Free, open framework. The government's job is to give access to high quality education, safety, security, and in Singapore, roof over your head, medical for those who can't afford it, a pension system that is self-funded, supported by the state in some ways, for those who can't afford it. Sort of framework where you go out there, be whatever you want. At the same time, it is a duty of the government to make sure that not everyone can get all the full benefits of a free market system. You need to make sure that people can get jobs. Mm-hmm. There's nothing more soul destroying than being unemployed for many people. And in a place like this, I always compare Singapore to a top that has got a spin. If you don't have jobs, you can't survive on your own. You will look to the society. If the entire economy is not doing well, and I don't put this in black and white terms, I'm just giving you a broad framework. If the entire economy is not doing well, let's say instead of unemployment at 3%, our unemployment is at 15% or 10%. People often talk about Finland as a model. Youth unemployment is at 24%. 1 in 4 of the undergrads will not get a job outside when they come out. And you stay without a job, you don't upgrade your skills. Has the state done its best for you? If there are no employment prospects, and Singapore doesn't have a hinterland. It's not as if you can go to the countryside and do other things. You are stuck in a city. If the government doesn't provide you with opportunities, what are you going to do? So we see it as a moral duty, a serious obligation for us to create a system where people can get jobs. You can be happy if you don't have a job, if the state or the society is in a position to support you, as some countries have tried to do. But supposing the state or society is not in a position to support you because the inherent nature of our society, how do you think it can survive? But you see, I also think slightly differently. Bhutan, go look at The Economist, recent articles on the level of happiness, and Bhutan is supposed to be at the top. I see the government's job as providing a framework, providing education, providing all the basic things that are necessary for the human being, for the person to become a much better person, to do the best he or she wishes with his life.
And for his family.
And for his family, for society, hopefully, for the community at large, and for the world community. It depends on the person, on the individual. But, if you were a Buddhist or a Hindu, or, many of the other religions, you could say, I really don't need any of these things, any of the material benefits. Happiness is a state of mind. It is indeed a state of mind. But do you think as a minister, I can go out there and tell someone who doesn't have a job or doesn't have a house or doesn't have some things that he wants, and tell him or her, it's a state of mind. You really ought not to be unhappy. Shall we have redefined the paradigm and say to you, why don't you just try and be happy with whatever little you have? Now, it has got to come from inside. I'm one of those who believes that happiness comes from inside.
Yeah.
The moment you say, I need this, I need that, I need that, you get that car, you think you're going to be happy, somebody has got a bigger car. You want this particular type of house, somebody has got a bigger house. So you will never be happy as long as you look for positional goods. But as a government, I cannot enforce my personal values. I cannot say to people, oh, you shouldn't be striving for this, you shouldn't be striving for that. My role is to provide a framework where everyone strives to the extent of their wishes, and there will be many people who will say, like you, I don't need to. I'm quite happy taking a different path. I've had lawyers in my firm after 2 years who come to me and say, I want to do something else. I understand it entirely. But what does the government do? We can only provide the framework. I can't tell people, don't do this or do that. And at the same time, we have to make sure that we instill, of course, the right value systems. But in terms, if the entire society and the economy of the country comes down, and as a result, we can't defend ourselves, we can't provide for people, then I think we would have failed. But it's not so stark. Is it possible to have a balance? I think in the context of the international competition, you need to be very clear what that balance means. What that balance means is that you may very quickly become uncompetitive, and you've got to work out the consequences. And if as a society the majority want that, then of course, that's the way we have to go.